Welcome aboard, captains, to the Emerald, the second ship that we are featuring in this light British cruiser series. This is the next one past the Danae, and once you have her, she plays a little different than the Danae, and in a better way, although it's still a little similar in the layout, but we'll go over all of that. Just thank you for being here. If you, again, are wanting to just watch the gameplay, fast forward to the time code that is below. Other than that, let's take a look at the build that I use. And just like on the previous video with the Danae, we are using the exact same setup with Bruce Fraser. He will be behind the helm yet again, because not much has changed other than some of the utility that we have. We are speccing into the gun performance, the penetration, and torpedoes, giving ourselves a little boost of speed, grouping, and reload. Here is where we see the first new addition to the line, and every ship, starting with the Emerald, going all the way up to Legendary, will be able to have a smoke generator equipped, and that is an option for you. Behind that smoke generator is a defensive fire AA suite, which at this tier is not advisable either, although it is an option. It also comes equipped with sonar and 2 heals. Our survivability is 27,100, which is a bit of an increase of about 6,000 to 7,000 hit points. Again, the armor layout is the same with no torpedo damage reduction. To the artillery, we have 7 152 millimeters as opposed to 6 from the Danae. The reload time is slightly longer, but it's still AP only, as you will see this continuing forward for the rest of the line. The torpedoes also are slightly better in that you have 1 extra torpedo per launcher. So instead of 12, it comes equipped with 16. 8 launchers on either side. The torpedo range and speed are exactly the same, with just an extra tube on each end. The maneuverability of the Emerald is actually slightly worse than the Danae, having a turning circle radius and rotor shift time that have slightly increased. Our maximum speed, though, has gone up, but at this tier, it is still too difficult to spec into the agility. And lastly, our concealment has gotten about 1 kilometer worse, which is now at 10.1 as opposed to 9.1 on the Danae. However, detectability while firing in smoke is something that you do need to pay attention to, as you have smoke to use whenever you are ready. Again, the skill that you will need to master is when to stop and when to pop your smoke. And that is tricky and something that takes getting used to. The Emerald's armor is now upgraded to 13 versus 10 on the Danae. On the nose and the stern plating, the 13 millimeters now has the ability to bounce light cruiser shells at the tier that are less than 185 caliber, meaning that if they are shooting AP and their shells are less than 185, which typically at the tier, most light cruisers have 152 shells, like the Emerald does, you are able to bounce or ricochet them. Battleships, though, will still be able to punch through and hit your citadel from practically any angle. So when it comes to the light cruisers and destroyers, you have more options to bounce than you would in the Danae, but when coming up against battleships, it's still the same threat. Don't get hit. We are on the map Haven, and we have objectives to capture. It's a domination game mode, which is better than the capture the base. So we spawn on the side of Charlie, on the far left side, and that is the cap in which we are going to contest and try to take. With us, we have an Omaha and a Bayern, who is going to be assisting us. We are not top tier. We are bottom tier. We're in tier 4s, and we are mixed with tier 5s. So that's something that we need to be cognizant of. The Bayern has 15-inch guns, so we cannot bow tank those guns unless he hits us at the waterline, which is not something that I can count on. However, I do have my smoke screen and I do have hydro, which makes me a really good threat, and it's options like these that I can use that I couldn't do in the Dene that allow me to make plays like get into the cap, contest it from concealment. Again, we have to be careful with how we stop. As you can see, we were able to really push out here fast because with every cruiser at this tier, it comes stock standard with a built-in acceleration boost. Just like the acceleration mod, it gives you an extra 50% increase in your speed to get to full speed. Approaching the cap, we slow down right here, and I want you to pay attention to the speed on the right side of the screen and how slow it takes for us to get to a stop. It is a crawling speed, and most mistakes that I see, especially at this tier and even all the way up into legendary, is not understanding when to stop or panic stopping while hitting the smoke screen at the same time. You will drift right out of your smoke, not concealing you, still making you a target. So now that we've gotten into the cap, we are just crawling to try and get into a position where we have it. And from here, we are going to pop the smoke. There was actually some shots that were blind that came in over that because they know that we're here. So we are smoking up. We have the Omaha that's also backing us up. And we're just going to wait. And we're going to hold this cap until we capture it. With 20 seconds left to go, we should have this in no time, unless it gets contested. But we do know that there's a Byron over here, and there are also 2 other ships that are unidentified. And our torpedoes are going to come in real handy here. So here comes the Byron. Our hydro is running. We still have a minute to hide in our smoke screen. Right here, I'm checking to see how close ships can get before I spot them with my hydro. The Emil, which is way out there, which is a very fast ship and hard to hit at range, especially with floaty shells that the Emerald has been hit pretty hard. The Icarus also pops up, and we're going to take these free shots because we are concealed in our smoke. We get 5 penetrations on that Icarus, and it really hits them hard for over 4,000 damage. So it is a Byron and an Omaha that's coming off our left. So we are getting dangerously close to these ships, which can absolutely take us out. Speaking of, we take out the Icarus with the help of the Omaha. That is 1 destroyer down, and that is huge for our team as there's only 1 left. The Byron is still coming in. At higher tiers, they have the option of equipping what's called an RGA mod, which allows ships to spot things starting at 3 kilometers. However, you do not have that option here. He has to get within 2 before he spots us. And now we are spotted. This is where it gets really dangerous because at any point the Byron can take us out, but his shells are facing the other way. We drop torpedoes on the Byron and are trying to take out the Omaha. We set a fire, and this is something that is very rare. You almost never see. We get a dev strike, a double strike, and a close quarters expert on a battleship in a cruiser. I don't think I've ever gotten that achievement before until this time, so that was awfully exciting. Taking off 3 ships this quick, taking the cap. At this point, we have completely done our job. We've taken out a destroyer, a cruiser, and a battleship. With the help of our teammates, you can't start a match any better than that, in my opinion. Here, I'm trying to turn around, and I do not do a very good job. I am slow, sluggish, and I don't stop very well. So this next iteration is a little boring. I will take the time during this transition to try and stop, back up, and get into the next side of the map because we've pretty much taken everything out on this side of the map besides the cruiser that our battleship is now pursuing. We are going to head towards the other side and see what we can do to help out. having a little better utility is what allowed us to make that play, something you could not do in the Dene unless you were borrowing somebody's smoke. But with the Emerald having an extra turret, a smoke screen, you're allowed to make aggressive plays like this, albeit if you get run over, you also have those extra torpedoes that help, as you saw. So I like the upgraded differences between the Dene and the Emerald, and you'll see more of that as you go up the line. The Emerald is still not the easiest ship to play. It's not something you want to be aggressive in. It is a support cruiser, something that is very fragile and can blow up at any moment, just like the Dene can. So as we are approaching the Aoba, which is backlining and is trying to get out of dodge, takes a nasty whack there. The Mutsu has entered Bravo Cap, and this is an opportunity to collect some defend ribbons. We're not going to get a lot of damage on him, again, because even though he is flat broadside to us, our shells are, as you can see, we get 3 shatters there, but we do get the defense, and that is what is important. It is going to essentially pad our stats. We're not really looking for damage here. We're just looking to keep him from obtaining this cap. But it's a foregone conclusion. It's now 5 ships to 1. We have an overwhelming points lead. We're not going to lose this unless something absolutely catastrophic happens, which is not going to happen. Let's be honest. These game modes are sometimes fun and sometimes not, because it doesn't feel as competitive. You're going to experience that at every tier, whether you're playing in tier 3, tier 4, all the way up in tier 8 and legendary. There always seems to be steamrolls that happen quite frequently. I wish there was something that we could do to prevent that, but it's just a part of the game and the way that wargaming has it. One thing I am excited for that I hope gets introduced soon is training rooms, where we're able to test things out. And I know a lot of community contributors and a lot of people from the community who have been playing this game for a long time have been crying for that, and along with stats and clans, which we're trying to make ways to make this game a lot more competitive. Some game modes like 3v3 ranked or 1v1 ranked has been a lot of fun, because you really get to test your skills, and the battle impact that you have in those lower volume games can really show where you're at from a skill standpoint, which is something that I enjoy. Unfortunately, you're just going to have games like this where you have all 4 caps and you have a 700 point lead, and it's a virtual win. So sometimes it's not fun when you win or lose in these types of fashions, but a win's a win, and we did what we could. We got a double strike, we got a dev strike, we got a close quarters expert on a battleship and a cruiser, which is quite hilarious to me. But this is pretty much gonna do it. Not a lot of damage, but a lot of ribbons, and we kept the Mutsu out of the cap. So this is a GG all the way around, and it was a fun game. It didn't take me nearly quite as long to get this one as it did in the Dene, but thankful that I don't have to stick around at this tier anymore. So that's a look at the Emerald. We were top on the leaderboard with a little over 2,000 base, which is pretty high for this tier. And GG's all around to everybody. Looking forward to the next one, which is the Leander. So keep your eye out for that. So thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in and watching. If you enjoyed that, please give me a like, share it with your companions, and subscribe to the channel for more content in the future, which will be coming as soon as I can get it. And comment below. Let me know what ships you would like me to feature. If I have it, I will gladly play it. Fair winds and fair seas, captains. This is the USS Endeavor signing off.